It's time for Growing Hope, the show determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary! And now, it's your host, Catherine Lang.
Hello there, and welcome to Growing Hope. I am Catherine Lang, your Hope Smith extraordinaire, and we are on a journey to grow up hearts that are open to pursue extraordinary. It's true. You are extraordinary, and you're extraordinary because you are unique in all the world. There is nobody else out there that is exactly like you. There's nobody else that has the gifts, the talents, the abilities, the interests, all of that mixed up together to form who you uniquely are. So we're on this journey to grow up from being caterpillars, which are tethered to the world, tethered to the limitations of the world, and transforming into butterflies that can take flight. We're infusing our hearts with the wings of our dreams. So we have been talking this week all about breaking out into our uniquenesses. In order to break out to your uniqueness, you have to begin to understand how you're uniquely woven, and then begin to move into that unique wovenness one little bit at a time. So we've been talking about how to know your why, to know your voice, and today we're focusing on knowing your comfort zone. So in order to understand where you're comfortable, it's not just about where you're comfortable, it's about recognizing the places where you're most likely to settle. When you settle into something, you are less likely to stretch into your possibilities. So we want to be aware of those places where we tend to kind of fall back into a pattern or a routine. So our historical locations of comfort, socially occupied locations of comfort, those expected locations, the internally determined locations, and finally, those secret locations, those locations we don't like to admit. Because we all have those places where it's easier for us to go and hide. It's easier for us to fall back on. Those places where we have always gone to or always been pushed to and accepted. When we understand our comfort zones, then we can break out of them. Then we can move into something different, something unique, something unexpected. Because it's good to be walking out your unexpected. I am a very extroverted individual. I don't know if you've caught on to that or not. But there are times when I have been put in situations where, because of my physicality, I am not a stealth kind of girl. I have never been, even when I was at my physically fittest, I was not what would be considered thin. And it became very easy for me to say no to activities because I wasn't in the physicality that I thought I should be in. And I didn't want to go do things until I was there. And because I didn't want to go do things until I was there, I quit doing things. And when I quit doing things, I began to suffer because an extrovert needs that engagement. An extrovert needs to be out there doing stuff. And once I realized that I had settled into this place of accepting what other people said about me and accepting that until I was where I thought they would not say things about me, I wasn't going to go do stuff. Once I recognized that I had settled into that, I was able to break out of it. When I was 14 years old, I've mentioned this before, but the cool guy told me that I was fat and my pants were ugly. And that stuck with me. And when I begin to feel insecure about what I'm doing, or I begin to doubt what I'm doing, I will fall back into that rut And when I fall back into that rut, it's difficult for me to move forward. So when I know this is what I'm doing, when I recognize this comfort zone, I guess, for lack of a better place, a way of explaining it, then I can begin to move out and forward. So the first thing you want to think about is historic locations. These are the ones that you've inherited. These are the ones that because your mother or because your dad or because your great grandmother or because your great 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 because of someone historically doing this or being this or saying this, you've inherited this comfort zone. This is a place of comfort. A really good friend of mine became a pastor because his grandfather was a pastor, because his dad was a pastor. So he was supposed to be a pastor, but he had absolutely no interest in his interest was in other directions, and his talents and his gifts were in other directions. But because he inherited this path, he fell into this path. When you know the historic comfort zones, this is historic ruts, and it's probably better to call them ruts than comfort zones, because really that's what it is. It's a rut that drags you down into a path that's not your own. So when you recognize these historic ruts, you can begin to slowly move your way out of them. And the sooner you recognize that it's a historic rut, the quicker you can get out of that rut and into your own path, because the rut's not yours. The rut is somebody else's, and you do not have to accept somebody else's rut. You have the right. You have the right to make your own ruts. You are designed to walk your path, not to wallow in somebody else's ruts. The second thing that you need to think about when you're trying to, the highway into the comfort zone goes through those socially acceptable locations, the places without controversy, the places where we are not offending and we are not really saying anything because we're so worried about offending. Never go into anything with the objective of offending somebody that you encounter. But at the same time, we talked yesterday about knowing our unique voice. Be bold enough and comfortable enough in your unique voice, because your unique voice, this journey that we're growing into our butterfly, it should always be around helping others and loving others. Love God, love others. Everything else will work itself out. And if we are loving God and through that love, loving others, then we're not intentionally setting out to offend people. Now, there are going to be people out there that want to get offended. There's nothing you can say or do about that. Just like there are going to be people that judge me no matter where I am in my journey, no matter where I am in my physical journey, there are going to be people that judge me. That's not on me. I just went through a situation where 8 people literally judged me. and I watched them judge me for 3 days. And when I got to the end, I realized that just because they judged me on this little bit of information, on their little teeny tiny bit of information about me, doesn't mean that they're right in their judgment. The same holds true of these socially accepted situations. If you are so worried about offending other people and so worried about doing things that do not have any controversy, you will miss out on your unique design. Someone is going to be offended by your unique design because you're not doing it the way they think you should. Do not settle into a rut of lack of controversy just to try to keep the water from being stirred. You will miss out on who you are designed to be. Just be you. Be real, be authentic, be truthful, be raw, expose your heart, but don't be rude. And you'll find out that there will be people who are offended, but the honesty that you're pursuing your unique design will soothe that path for you. The third thing is this highway to the comfort zone Go straight through the expected locations. What are you expected to do? 30, 40, 50 years ago, a woman was expected to get married and have children. That was the expected path. It's what they were told they were supposed to do. Well, the expected path today isn't much different. It's what other people expect you to do. It's what your guidance counselors told you that you should be doing, or what that test you took told you were supposed to be doing, or what your mother told you you were supposed to be doing. And it will, although we should learn from the people around us, especially people that have a gift in that area, listen to them, but don't follow their path just because they expect you to. Just because they want you to do it doesn't mean it's what you're supposed to be doing. If you find yourself sliding into that rut of their expected path, then get around people who challenge the idea of what it is that you're expected to do. Take a course that is completely opposite of what you're expected to do. Go hang out with people who are exactly the opposite of what you're expected to do and see how that stirs your heart. If you find that you are intrigued, challenged, motivated by this opposite path, then the expected path may be that one of those ruts that are keeping you from your unique design. But listen to the people who know, and then guide yourself into your unique path. Work it into the path that you, going back to the things that you want, the things that you love, the things that you don't love. You know, if the expected path lies right in the middle of something you really, really don't like, it's probably not your path. And that's okay. Now, it may not be okay to the people around you, but eventually they'll get it. The fourth thing is the places that the internal comfort zones, the internal ruts, the places that we go because we have limited ourselves. I can't do that because I can only do this because we have limited our vision because of our experiences, because of our education, because of our age, because of our size or lack of size, because of whatever internal, external situation, we have internally limited ourselves in our journey. Big dream goals can't be limited. Big dream goals need to be a little bit impossible and a little bit scary because they push us out of these comfort zones. Big dreams push us out of these ruts. When you grow up from being a caterpillar to taking flight as a butterfly, you can't stay in the ruts. It's not physically possible to take flight and remain in a rut. It's just not possible. So we have to recognize that we've put ourselves in these boxes, in these limitations. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're tethering ourselves back to the limitations of the world. And it's our doing. It is our choice. We are saying we can't because, whatever the because is. The truth is that when you truly believe that you're supposed to be doing something and you truly determine that you're going to do it, you find a way to get it done. That is just the way it works. When you know that you can, and you know that you should, and you know that you will, then nothing and nobody can hold you back. The only thing that can really hold you back from living your big dream goals, from taking flight, is the man who looks back at you from the mirror. Ultimately, it's you. We are the only ones that can keep us from going there. So when we internally determine that we can or cannot do something, then we can or can't, based on what we've determined. So if we're going to take flight, we have to break free of that particular comfort zone, that internal comfort zone that we may have settled into. And finally, we have those secret locations. Those are the places that we don't really like to admit. Mine was my physicality. Mine was my And there's still times when I walk past the mirror and I cringe because I never wanted to be there. I still don't want to be there. Not so much that I'm making the choices to do better. I'm working on it, but that's ultimately up to me. But I had to make the choice to recognize this is a place I was hiding. And because I was allowing myself to hide and I wasn't talking about the fact that I was hiding, I was limiting my ability to live my best life. When we are hiding in a secret location, then nobody can help us in our journey to get better. Nobody can help us break free of that secret location. Take time over this next week to really think about, where do I hide? Where do I run when the going gets tough, or when a choice comes up, or when I'm challenged to step into my possibilities? Where do I hide? Where is that place that I go that I haven't talked to anybody about? Write it down and then find somebody that you can talk to. We are on this journey together. We are designed to be in relationships. We are stronger, we are better, and we are bolder when we are connected with other people. But if we're hiding in a secret location and we're hiding it from other people, then there's nobody there that can support us. There's nobody there that can encourage us. We are on our own, and the enemy wants it that way. If you look at all of the nature films, it is they always call the predators always call that one person, that one animal out of the herd, and they do that because they can't take on the herd, but they can take on the one. And if you have allowed yourself to be culled into this secret location, then you are in a position to be taken out. I was watching a video with water buffalo, and they had culled this one out of the herd, and then and they were it was a pack of lions. It was a pride of lions. They're not a pack, they're a pride, and they were jumping on this one, and then all of a sudden the herd returned, and the herd ran that pride of lions off. That's what we need in our lives. We need to have people around us that will help us recognize we're getting into a rut and will help us to get out of it. So recognize your comfort zones, recognize your ruts, the historical locations that you've inherited, the socially accepted locations that aren't right with controversy, the expected locations that people have told you have to go to, the internally determined locations, that negative voice that's telling you this is where you have to stay, and of course those secret locations that we've been hiding in. When we recognize our comfort zones, when we recognize these ruts, then we can make a plan to get out of the rut, and we can begin to create the momentum that's going to rock us out of the rut and launch us into that possibility that you're designed to live. You're designed to live the impossible best life that is waiting for you right now. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Growing Hope. I am excited about this journey, and I look forward to working with you on your path to get out of the rut and to live your best life, to go from being a caterpillar, releasing the tethers, and launching into your butterfly life. Connect with me over at catherinelang.com or snarkyrainbows.com and continue to invest in growing up your butterfly talk. Until next time, in all that you're doing, please remember, be blessed and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Catherine Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more. Visit www.catherinelang.com to invite Catherine to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living. Until Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.